Hey everybody, I'm here with a little bit of a response, if you will, to Nostalgia Critic's most recent review that he did on Pound Puppies Legend of Big Paw. Now, you might say to yourself, well, why are you having a response to him? I thought you liked his videos. Oh, I do. I love his videos. There's no doubt about that they're great videos. Excuse me for a second. Again, like I said, there's no doubt that they're great videos. And they're great reviews, very humorous. But let's take a look at it like this. Either it's Doug Walker just acting out, or if it's just, acting out as the Nostalgia Critic, which most of the time it is, or it's Doug's own personal feelings, or if it's the fans' own personal feelings about certain movies. I will say this. This isn't that bad of a movie. It's not, complete shit or anything as people think it is. Yeah, it's a little unusual, and yes, it didn't do so well in the theaters, but let me explain the reason this was made. To quote what Nostalgia Critic said, it was based on a toy line, the toy line became popular, and thus it warranted a cartoon, the cartoon became popular, and the movie was made. Now, he is right about a few things. There are things that have changed. But of course you gotta expect that in movies. Whether it's live action adaptations based on animated cartoons or comics or games, or whatever, or animation version, or animated movie adaptations, you're always gonna expect change. For example, I can give you a lot. If I can think of any that come to mind, well, let's take a look at the X-Men, if you will. In all three movies, a lot was similar, but a lot had changed. First of all, well, let's take a look at it. Wolverine's character was a part of the X-Men even before Rogue got there. But instead we have him join up at the same time. Things like that kind of stand out. You take a look at the end of X-Men 2 going into X-Men 3, and the truth is, we had Phoenix first, then we had Dark Phoenix. Instead, they end up going to Dark Phoenix right away. That's a big change. But what other differences are out there for movies that do this? Well, like I said, I can list a ton of adaptations. In fact, Mario Brothers, the movie, 1994-93. When that movie came out, everybody expected the lead female to be Princess Peach or Toadstool. Instead, we end up getting Daisy. That's right, Daisy, Luigi's girlfriend. Why? Well, apparently maybe because recently, in the past year or two, they had the Super Mario Land games out for Game Boy, and she was the newest character, so what better way to introduce her than to have a movie around her? That's my only assumption. And again, things like that. So, yeah, Pound Puppies will fall into that category, if you will, but they fall into it for a reason. See, they fall into it because, well, one, if you're going to do a feature film, you want to make it a little bit more different than what you see on television. You want to keep some similarities, but you also want to make it different. You also have to notice that they do introduce some new characters. And most importantly, you also have to realize that nobody's going to believe a little girl fighting, a little girl watching over an entire pound. No one's going to believe that theatrically. If you're going to do a movie based on something like this, you got to make sure it's believable. That's why you had the two teens in the place of the little girl. That's why you had the McNasty character in place of the evil woman and her daughter, I guess. That's why you had those changes, to make it more believable. And you do have to admit, in a way, they did kind of give a good, it was an unusual origin story, but it was at least an origin on how the dogs were able to communicate with the humans. The dogs and cats were able to communicate with the humans. At least it gave a good origin story. Well, not a good origin story, but at least it gave an origin story. That's what we got out of this. And again, movies that I could just list out. I mean, Disney. Let's take a look at Disney. When they did a Goofy movie back in '95, everybody knows that that's Goof Troop the movie, but it was different. You didn't have, yeah, you had references, and you knew basically it was Goof Troop the movie, but you didn't have Peg, you didn't have Pistol, you didn't have the pets, Waffles and Chainsaw. You didn't have them acknowledged at all. Why? Because Disney was trying to make Goofy movie different and separate from Goof Troop the movie. That was the whole situation. That's why it was a little different than from the series. And again, a whole list can go with it. So, but you know this is why this movie is sometimes unusual. I mean, it's a cult favorite. There's no doubt about it. There are people that like it, but that's the reason the way it is. That's why you have different characters, like the different owners or different people that run the pound. You have a different villain. You have new Pound Puppy characters and Pound Purry characters. Because just like with movies based on toy franchises at that time, you had to also have a way of introducing new characters. And the Pound Purries at the time were new to the toy franchise of Pound Puppies. So that's why they were included in this movie. And yes, I will let you know that I enjoy this movie. It's a good movie. It's a good movie. Yes, it's a little different. Yes, it's got some animation flaws in it and everything. But, you can't expect perfection sometimes. I mean, take a look at Transformers the movie, for goodness sakes. I mean, I love that movie. I've seen that movie over 1,000,000 times according to my sisters. And it has animation flaws. Take a look at some of Disney's feature films and all that. Those have animation flaws in them too. But what I'm saying is that just because it has those flaws doesn't mean it's not a good movie. And yes, some of the songs in them sound ridiculous. But here's an answer to this if you Wikipedia it. Most of the songs are parodies of songs that were popular in the 50s and the 60s. Like At the Pound is basically a parody of At the Hop. Big Paw's song is a parody of Duke of Earl. And the others I can't think of right now, but if you Wikipedia this movie and Google the information on this movie, you'll see what I'm talking about. But you want to know how much I enjoyed this film, because it's a good film. It's one of those films you don't normally see anymore. I'll show you. And this may sound embarrassing, and of course I may have a teenage nephew that will make fun of it, but I'll show you how much I like this film. When I lived in Kansas, I actually went online to a poster outlet in Oakland, and I bought this. I don't know if you can see it, but I bought the Pound Puppies and Legend of Big Paw movie poster. That's right, I bought it. This is the actual movie poster that was used in, I think one of the actual movie posters that was used in the theaters. I mean, you can see everything on it. It's got the TriStar pictures on there. It's got the Calico logo on there, TriStar logo. I mean, it's got it all. This is actually one of the posters, like I said, that was used in the film. Or that was used to promote the film. This was actually the poster shown in the theaters. Now again, I know I might have my family kind of question, what the heck is that about? Believe me, when you live on your own and you have your own life and everything, you do things a little bit more differently than people expect. And yes, I can't really put this up right now because, well, let's just say my mom doesn't like too much stuff hanging on the wall. But yeah, That's how much I like this film. I actually got the poster of it. And that's saying something. But yeah, I even went as far as to buy a tape. Someone did a VHS thing for me, and I was actually able. Well, it's not a VHS thing. I was actually able to buy a recorded version of this when it was shown on Disney Channel from somebody. I mean, that's how much I like the film, despite the fact that, yes, the animation has flaws in it, despite the fact that the story is a little unusual. But you gotta remember, back in 1987, 88, actually 88 when this came out, you gotta remember, that was back at a time when if you had a successful toy franchise that got turned into a successful cartoon franchise, and then in turn got a successful movie, then in turn got a movie, that was basically that era. That was that era. It was toy plus series equals movie, majority of the time. Now, yes, I do admit the movie did not succeed in theaters. Everybody knows that. But you got to give these people, you got to give TriStar, you got to give Calico, who Calico actually at the time was doing all these PG-13 and R-rated movies. You got to give them credit for at least trying to bring something out at that time. And yes, Family Home Entertainment, FHE, was the main distributor of it, but they got things like, they got people like TriStar and Calico and basically, behind them, to release it. So give them credit. It may not be the best movie out there, but when you look back on it today, it's a classic. It's a classic, and it's a movie everybody grew up on. Yes, people may have the difference of opinions. Kids nowadays may look at it and say, what the hell is this? What the hell did you guys grow up on? Believe me, give them a chance to watch this and let them judge for themselves. It's not that bad of a movie. It's one of those rare gems that, if shown today, probably would be direct-to-video or direct-to-DVD and direct-to-television, but at least it would probably be very successful because it's a very good movie. It's not that much. It doesn't have that much violence. In fact, it barely has any violence at all. It's very good, and I'll be honest with you. Like I said earlier, I think I said this earlier, when my mom was watching one of my nephews one time, she asked me what movies I had for them to watch, and I pointed out this one because I don't think my 6-year-old nephew, I think he was 5 at the time, had seen it. So we put it on, and he actually sat down and watched the movie. And I'm pretty sure my 3-year-old nephew would watch it, and I'm pretty sure when he gets a little bit older, my 1-year-old great nephew would watch it. There's no doubt about it. But again, it's a great film. It's not a great film, but it's a good family film for everybody of all ages, especially those that grew up on the 80s on the Pound Puppies. So, anyway, I just thought I'd kind of respond to Nostalgia Critic on that. I'm not trying to be against Critic and his decision. He's a great person. Doug Walker does a great job at these reviews. You got to check him out. They're very funny and humorous. But believe me, this isn't as bad as people perceive it to be. Alright? That's all I'm going to say. If you got any comments, let me know. I'll talk to you all later.